Hello, sir.
Hey, Michael, how you doing?
Could be better. They're still dicking me around with my short-term disability.
Of course.
They literally called me, bless it. It sounded like an Indian man. He calls me. He goes, "This is such and such from the Standard. We want to we need some more information to expedite the process of your thing." And it's the simplest information that my employer should have gave them. The last day that I worked and the start date of my disability.
Makes sense, yeah.
I called them Wednesday because they sent me letters about it. I called my work Tuesday or Wednesday and said, "Hey, this is what they're asking of me. Don't you think you can give that to them?" "Well, yeah, we can't." "Okay, then. So go ahead and give that to them so they can process my disability claim."
And they're taking their sweet time.
You best believe it.
Of course.
And I was working days for a while. And then when I talked to my HR director, he was like, "Oh, I was only doing that through the 30th of July. I was like, "Oh, that's nice of you. Thank you."
Well, hello, everybody.
You
Hey,
sound
Gally.
stuffed up, Gally.
Yeah, sound bunged up, my friend.
Oh, no, just a little tired tonight.
You too, huh?
Yeah.
About
me
to say,
too.
Paul, what made you shave your head?
It was really getting annoying, honestly. My hair grows very thick and very fast, a bit like a Wookiee. And because of the pandemic, going to the barbers or a hairdresser is slightly more complicated. We've got people in the house that are very vulnerable to it, so I avoid any chance I can avoid easily, one of those being a hairdresser. I don't need a haircut, right? It's not a requirement.
Nah, it all grows back. Just shave it off.
Exactly. So for me, every 2 or 3 months and it all grows too thick and fast again, just take it all off and go bald.
Hey, John, thanks for joining us.
I can't go bald.
Hey,
I look horrible bald. And not that I have like a receding hairline or anything, but literally I've done that before. I've shaved my head as short as you have, and I look like a freaking skinhead. I can't do it.
So do I. I personally don't really like this look, but the alternative is, just letting it grow longer and being even more annoying. So, yeah, screw it. Get off my head.
True. Right. Yeah.
Yes. One situation or the other, neither one of them which is ideal. Which one would you rather deal with?
Just shave my head.
Exactly. Yeah. I'll just take it off.
I'm not gonna lie. If my kid in my sleep took buzzers and buzzed my head, I'd probably just shave it all off.
Yeah. That's probably the best bet, actually, genuinely.
We had to do that with Nick. Nick got into the clippers, cut his hair, and then we had to literally shave all of his hair off.
We're more even that way.
Exactly. But for some reason, my hair will stand straight up if it's that short. His lays flat. I'm like, how? I don't understand it. Like mine will stick up like I have, like it just sticks straight out like a puff. His just lays flat. I'm like, lucky kid.
Well, gradually we are all coming online.
Yeah, I'm just going to get a drink of water as well before we get started.
All right. Got a couple of more minutes.
Quick.
And for those of you in the chat, just a reminder that all this month for music, we are using Pipe Dream Hits. It's music that's created by streamers for streamers. You won't get any copyright hits for using Pipe Dream Hits on your live streams or your YouTube videos. You can find them at pipedreamhits.com. And they are a new and up and coming service. And talking to the developer of Pipe Dream Hits, Hey, he wants to expand to more genres. So I put in a request. Hey, be nice if you could put some music in that would be appropriate for fantasy RPGs like D&D. Because right now, most of it is the standard fare, EDM, slow jams, dubstep, stuff like that, which kind of doesn't really fit with our milieu. Be nice to have something that sounds more like Celtic folk music or orchestral stuff or things like that you could put in as background for our games. So we will see if we get any of that. All right. Okie dokie. And looking at the clock in the system tray, it looks like we have reached that magical hour of 8 p.m. So I'm going to turn that music down that we were just talking about. And I am going to welcome everybody. Welcome to Sword Coast Chronicles. This is session 57 of our game. And tonight we are in a session that I like to call Humanoid Diplomacy. Because last time we met our intrepid heroes, they were in the almost conquered, almost completely cleared out castle of the Cloud Giants, where the party and their Bronze Dragon ally had pretty much defeated all of the defenders save one. One defender who had locked himself in a room with a couple of Cloud Giant toddlers, a little Cloud Giant boy and a little Cloud Giant girl. And the dragon, being a dragon and having special enmity towards giants, had said, I don't care how they are, how old they are, what they are. If they are giants, they are bad news and they need to die. And the party was like, but they're children. And they persuaded the dragon to at least give the Cloud Giant, who turns out to be the uncle of the children and the brother of the former countess, give him an opportunity to at least plead his case and see if they can't come to some sort of amenable resolution. Now, there are rare times that I remember that it's bad form in a D&D game for all the players to sit around and listen to the DM talk to himself in different NPC voices. This is one of those times. So instead of having them sit around and listen to these two yap at each other, we are actually going to have the players determine what is going to happen with this particular meeting of the minds between Felagos, the Bronze Dragon, and Count Thalin, the Cloud Giant. And the way we are going to resolve that is by doing a skills challenge. Now, a skills challenge, for those of you who are not familiar with my game and the way I run things, skills challenges are a thing that were introduced in 4th edition. One of the things that I actually think was good about 4th edition was the skills challenges. And the particular rule set I use for skills challenges is based on the rules that Rodrigo Lopez, longtime DM of the Critical Hit podcast, uses. Basically, we go in initiative order for the party. The party describes narratively how they are going to use one of their skills, and then they roll against a predetermined DC. A success advances the giant weasel token up the scale, and they need 12 successes before they get 6 failures in order to succeed. In this case, success in the skills challenge means that the dragon and the giant will come to an agreement whereby they will agree to occupy the castle together and keep the children safe. Failure means that one of the two principals, the dragon or the giant, is going to attack the other one. And that's just sort of the way things are going to happen. And I don't know at this point whether the giant will attack the dragon first or whether the dragon will attack the giant first. There is an element of randomness, and it might possibly be determined by the skills that the party chooses to use. Now, there's a couple of caveats in the skills you can use, and we will get to those as we go through the skill challenge. But for the sake of the players, your venue, of course, is here in the Cloud Giant throne room. You are all, yes, you guys are all gathered in there. So I'm going to move you all in there. You guys are all gathered in there along with the principals, and for the sake of the skills challenge, we're going to ignore Sangzor. We're going to ignore the skill guardian or the skill guardian because they don't have any skills. They won't be part of the initiative.
Punch things.
Yeah, but that's not a skill. That's a combat thing. All right, and hey, Fork Puff, welcome. Glad to see you in the chat.
Hey, Medic.
So we will go back to the skills challenge, and we will let everybody roll initiative. And just keep in mind that this is you are able to use any of your skills, but given the fact that this is an attempt at diplomacy, you have to convince me that there's a valid way you are using your skill in an attempt to be diplomatic. That doesn't mean you have to use like a persuasion or an intimidation or anything like that. You can use a physical skill, but you have to describe it and convince me that that would somehow sway the principles. And, we'll kind of, as you succeed or fail, we'll kind of see how this negotiation plays out. So right now, there's a very tense Mexican standoff, if you will, between the, like that famous scene from the end of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, where, the three guys all have pistols on each other and they're kind of looking around wondering what's going to happen. That's sort of the tension in the throne hall between the dragon and the giant at this point. So, party members, go ahead and roll initiative. You are on this sheet, so your initiative should show up. And just remember to go ahead and click on your tokens and Okay, so Thaldor, I'll go ahead and I'll add.
My bad.
Yeah, no, that's all right. 12. All right. So we have Bell, Mulek, Thaldor, Krenraid, need Fallinger, and Dez. Ken, Heather, you guys there?
Yeah, just
Okay.
takes me a minute to load stuff up.
Captain
Okay.
C with the 23. Oof.
23.
Nat 20.
You're a pirate and you didn't know it.
I like to rhyme just to pass the time.
Ah.
I always drop dope beats in my mind.
Bust a rhyme.
Not as random. I do it for my fandom.
There.
Okay. All right. So we'll go ahead and we'll put this in descending order. And Fallinger, you are up first. You can use any skill that you wish. And keep in mind, you have two creatures who have a long history, a long racial memory of hatred towards each other. Giants and dragons have been fighting since the beginning of time. So what would you like to do to sort of try to help set the mood to make this more conducive?
I'm going to play some music to put everybody in a magically enhanced good mood.
Okay, so you're going to make a performance check, is that what I'm guessing?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Ooh, an 11. Oh, that's not going to be good enough.
I'll use my inspiration because I never use it.
Okay. 24. 24 will do it. All right, so as Fallinger begins to play too, what kind of tune are you playing?
Just kind of a upbeat, slow, rhythmic
Okay.
song.
Okay.
Something that I think maybe a giant and a dragon would both like.
Okay, something that makes the mood a little bit lighter, and as the music begins to play, you can see a little bit of the tension go out of the shoulders of the giant, and the dragon sort of eases back a little bit in the throne, and the two kids, they just sort of look over, and their mouths agape while they're watching Fallinger play. So. We have one success and no failures. Mulek, what would you like to do?
Yes, I'm going to walk over to Krenraid and provide some guidance to him to help him do what he does best to help this go well. This
Okay.
go well. So I'm going to give him some guidance.
And that's going to be what kind of a check?
That'll be Arcana.
Arcana check. Now, there is we've talked, I think I've mentioned this in passing, but I saw another DM that used almost exactly the same system I do, with one exception. Those of you who played in my games know that normally I allow you to do an Arcana check for spells, and if you're arcane caster, and a religion check for spells if you are a divine caster. But you still roll on the skills, and you still have to see whether you pass or not, but you don't use up the spell slot. Now, what this DM does is this DM says if you are going to use a spell as part of a skill challenge, you can automatically succeed, but you have to burn the spell slot. So now, what level spell is guidance?
It's a level 1.
Okay, so if you are willing to burn a level 1 spell slot, you can get an automatic success on this, and you don't have to roll a skill check.
Okay. You know what? Hold on a sec. Well, why don't I see? Why don't I see guidance on my? It is a level 1, right?
It's a cantrip.
Yeah, it's a can. Okay, that's it.
Okay,
It's a cantrip.
okay. Well, okay. So then,
That's
in
it.
that case, if you're going to use a cantrip, you have to make a roll.
Okay.
Because you don't burn a spell slot with a
All right.
cantrip.
Yeah, that's what I was getting confused there. I thought it was a cantrip. Okay, so I'll do Arcana roll or Arcana check.
Yeah. Okay. It's not quite going to do it.
Okay, so if that's not going to work, then I'm going to go ahead and chronal shift it. Try
Okay.
again.
That'd do it.
5. That is it. And of course, a critical success, a natural 20 on your skill check, is good for 2 successes, while a critical failure, a natural 1, is good for 2 failures. So keep that in mind. As you walk over to Krenraid, and you just sort of pat him on the shoulders, the giant and the dragon, they just sort of you're kind of wondering what you're doing, but it seems to be distracting them a little bit. So at least they're not thinking about being mad at each other.
And does he get to roll a d4 on his check?
If you've given him guidance, then yes.
Sweet.
Yes,
All right.
he would. Okay. All right. So, Krenraid. Now, like I said, you can choose to try something that would normally be diplomatic, intimidation, persuasion, something like that. Or if you can sell me on how a physical skill would be more to the could help to improve the mood here, you can do that.
Okay. I've got 2 ideas. One I think is better, which is more likely to fail, but I have a guiding hand guiding my path, so it might be okay. And one which is very stupid, but if it does work, maybe make the children laugh.
Okay.
So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with the guiding hand and attempt to. I'm going to attempt a survival roll to describe the laws of nature and how bad it is that two creatures of this proportion are constantly at war with each other over what's seemingly a very fertile world or hunting ground. And the downsides that 2 apex predators can have fighting each other constantly.
Okay.
Long record.
All right.
So I will go up to the giant and the dragon, and I'll stand between them, and I will say, try and keep it short and sweet. Giant creatures of all types. The history of hate, war between your 2 peoples is even longer than my beard is, and that's saying something quite strong. The hatred runs deep and thick, like a rot that's taken the very core of both of your beings. I can see, just looking in your eyes, the same rage that I would feel towards the black dragon that killed my home. But do I hate our good friend here? No. Mr. Dragon has been very kind and very nice to us, all right? You lobbed a boulder at me the other day, Mr. Giant, and I'm not very angry at you either because I understand you were trying to protect your kids. It makes perfect sense. You're doing all you can to survive in this world, right? But I implore you both to consider, as giant creatures of many times the size of normal beings, that it hurts you both to continue this feud in such a way. If you kill this giant and these children, Mr. Dragon, all right, more giants are going to come and they're going to seek vengeance upon you for it. They will come en masse, and they may well, given enough quantity and time, overwhelm someone as mighty as you. And I say to you, Sir Giant, sitting there so big, proud, and angry, that if you go away from this and just promote the hatred of this dragon that has killed your family and everything else to your other giant kin, then all that will do is make this dragon even more angry, and he may come give you another visit, all right? So I implore you both just to have a sit down as giant big boys and discuss this as equals, because you don't want to continue this cycle of hate. And I'll stand down. I'm claiming that as a survival check. You can say yes or no. $15.
Galabond, if you're trying to talk, you're muted.
Crap. I muted because I coughed and I forgot to unmute. Okay. What I was going to say is, okay, your survival is 4. What is your nature?
My nature is -1.
Okay. So, yeah, I was going to say survival or nature. And I also said because of your speech there, I'm giving you advantage. So go ahead and roll again, and you can add the D4 on the reroll as well.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Nice.
Okay.
That helps.
23.
You're a very
Okay.
generous god, sir.
You gave a great speech.
You did give a good speech. It was worth that. I
had a second to think, thanks to thanks to James thinking about guidance. It gave me like, wait, what that?
I think that worked well. All right, Belle, you are up. What would you like to do? And of course, the other thing I have not mentioned is that the one skill that is blocked to everybody is the skill that was just used before they went. And in the second round, you can also not use the same skill you used the first round. So, Belle is able to use anything except survival. So what would
I'll go look over the situation and still kind of think it's kind of awkward for the kids to be here. So she'll want to try and pull them away. So she'll try and kind of go up to them and persuade them to like step back and say, hey, do you want to see like this type of trick? Do you think that could still be possible even though it's not helping per se advance, but it is in a way helping the giant actually calm down without having to protect its children?
The giant and the dragon both appear to be looking keenly at Krenraid, and they are very much paying attention to him. And as you walk up to the children, and one of the children will look at you and will kind of giggle, and the Count Felon will look down at you And the child has that pleading look, like, "Can I go with the kitty?" And then he looks over at the dragon, and the dragon just kind of like gives this dismissive like wave of his claws, like, "Okay, fine, just the adults need to talk here. So yeah, you can take the kids to the side. Neither one of them would let you leave the throne room with the children, but you can kind of pull them back towards the back of the throne room if you want to." And
They both come willingly. I don't have to try and persuade them to come.
Yeah. So actually, why don't you make your persuasion check against the count?
Okay. Should kind of look up to the count.
To see if he will let you take them.
Kind sir, I know a lot of things have been happening, but I'd like to take the children to go see a magic show. Just over there. She kind of points to the stairs and things like that, and she says, "I'm going to do a disappearing trick, and I'm going to be doing," one second. Sorry. "I'm going to be doing disappearing tricks, and I'll show them lots of my skills. You won't ever believe what I can do. So can I? To kind of get giddy and try and hype the kids up to do it too.
Okay, so go ahead and make your persuasion check.
Find it. Oh my god, I'm blind.
Oh, nice. 23. Yes. The count smiles at you. The kids kind of giggle, and the dragon, sort of, "Yeah, okay, just go over there so the adults can talk." All right. So that is 4 successes. We have 4 successes and no failures. So far, we're doing pretty well. That was Belle. And then what I will do is I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to just get to this area, and we'll take the they'll take the 2 kids, and they'll come over here next to Belle. All right, so where you are. All right, so now we'll go back to the skills challenge page. And Des, what would you like to do?
I watch Belle walk off with the kids, and knowing that there are more eloquent individuals that could convince the dragon to spare their lives, he kind of figures, you know what, I'll just make the kids relaxed and try to show the dragon how charming they can be or how fun they can be. So he casts conjure animals. And
okay.
I would like to conjure 8 bunnycorns.
Elmirage.
Yes.
Okay.
And as he casts the spell and they all appear, he does the maximum number, which is 8, and he proceeds to kind of just wander over to where the where Belle was, and kind of begins working with them to direct them to do cutesy little twists and turns in order, and to add to her magic show a little bit.
Okay, so if you want to burn that level 3 spell slot, I will let you have an automatic success.
Yes, I would like to borrow it.
Okay, so that's an automatic success for 5 successes and no failures. And when the rabbits show up, the kids look at them and they gasp, and then they start giggling. And, the giggles bring the attention of the uncle, and the uncle looks over and he kind of can't help but smiling. And then you all hear a little, a little chuckle coming from the throne as the dragon seems to see the humor in what is going on and the way that the bunnies are interacting with the kids and whatnot. So that seems to be having a good effect.
I'd like to add on how the spell went so amazingly. Bella thought they were real animals without realizing that Des actually summoned them. So she'll kind of perk her ears up and then wiggle her butt a little bit and try and pounce on them and chase them around.
Okay.
and basically Des just kind of looks almost like a caring uncle himself. He just standing there, kind of relaxed pose with his long tavern pipe stuck out of his teeth and puffing quietly as he says little verbal commands to the bunnycorns as they bounce around, and he gives the kids a big wink.
Okay. All right. Des and his amazing trained Almirage. Okay. Thaldor. What would Thaldor like to do? Things are going well.
Things are going well, and I don't want to screw them up because my highest skills are in certain things that wouldn't really work.
Hey, tell me about it.
Right. Well, Belle had an idea, and that's what I was going to use sleight of hand for, was to do like coin tricks for the children, make them disappear and appear in my hands, behind their ears, different types of things. But instead of that, I'm going to read the room. I think is that perception or insight?
Insight.
Insight. Well, that's +4. I'm going to go with history then. I want to know from things I've studied, books I've read, I want to know, is there any working relationship between giants and dragons at any point in history?
Ooh, okay.
Up to the dragon and explain, hey, your races have worked together in the past. Here's an example of when that happened. Maybe that can happen again.
Okay. All right. So go ahead and make me a history check.
How would a nat 20 work?
A nat 20. A nat 20 will work good enough for 2 successes. So now we are sitting on 7 successes and 0 failures. Okay. Now, I remember the last time we had a skills challenge, you guys got through it relatively easy. So I actually made this one a little bit harder. And I made the DC a little bit higher. But you guys are doing very well with this so far.
Damn lucky rolls.
But yes, Thaldor, you remember hearing a story and reading a story about there was one time, and it was actually not all that long ago. It would have been within the lifetime of elves and probably even some of the older dwarves. But there was a treaty called the Treaty of Certain Demise. So I'm going to put that in the Discord for you.
All right.
The Treaty of Certain Demise. And this was when Mistra died, and the weave of magic left the world, and it threw everything into chaos, and all kinds of all kinds of non-magical creatures from other planes, like demons and aberrations and things like that, came and started attacking areas where, as it turns out, areas that traditionally both giants and dragons liked to make their lairs. And so they found themselves basically in a case of, well, the enemy of my enemy may not be my friend, but he's probably less likely to stab me in the back today than my enemy is. And so they actually worked together for a period of about 3 or 4 years, just fighting back the onslaught of these demonic and extraplanar hordes. So that's a treaty of certain death, treaty of certain demise.
See, I look at the dragon and at the giant, and I say, your races both worked together for a number of years during the treaty of certain demise. What means that you can't do that now and work together and figure out a compromise? Oh, I even made that rhyme. That was great.
Mm-hmm. I got it.
And the Count Thulin says, yeah, that's true. There was that time, but there was a threat from outside. I mean, the entire world was in peril at that point in time.
But right, Count, but there's always a certain peril outside anyone's door. So it doesn't matter. There could always be that next big threat that can come in and wipe out, everyone. So there has to be a time and place when that can take into an account and work together and figure out a compromise between the two of you to make this work.
And the dragon says, I'm willing to talk if the Count is. And the Count hears another giggle from the children and looks over, and you sort of see that protective thing, that sort of protective impulse to want to keep the children safe. Then he looks back at Thaldor and he nods. He says, yes, let's continue the discussion. And so things seem to be, the tension seems to relax a little bit. All right, so Falliger, we are coming back to you. History was the last one used, and you used performance. So you can use any skill except history or performance.
My goal is to keep that energy going that Thaldor just put on them, and he's going to be like, maybe it's time you start a new order. An order that consists of a new type of giants and a new type of dragons. And this order will be focused on healing the two factions. And it can start with you, and I'll persuasion. Persuasion.
Ooh. 12. They look at you, and some of the goodwill that Thaldor had engendered seems to kind of evaporate from the room when you speak. And the giant says, I cannot forget so easily the corpses of my kin.
Hold on.
That lay scattered.
Do I get advantage? Does our advantages roll over from the previous session, or is it only per session?
Did you not use advantage?
No.
The first time?
No.
Are you sure?
For
He
inspiration.
had an inspiration that he used. He had advantage from last game. He never used.
I don't remember.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. You mean chat room advantage? Yes.
Yes.
Chat room advantage does roll over. So yes.
Okay, I would like to use that before you get too far into a story.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it is what it is.
Goodness gracious.
Okay.
Get them bad rolls out of the way early, Ken.
I guess.
Yeah. The Count says, "I cannot so easily forgive the corpses, or forget the corpses of my kinfolk who lay scattered on the various floors of this castle." And the dragon says, "Nor can I so easily forget the report that the druid brought us of a stuffed metallic dragon in the study of the Countess, or the injuries I received under her torture. You'll have to do better than that, small folk."
Yeah.
And with the small folk, he seems to take all of you in.
I forgot I could use guidance. That sucks. Anyway, next person.
All right. Ulick.
So, seeing the temperature of the room change away from what it was just recently, I try to remind these two individuals of the. So, I'm basically making a history check to remind them of times in past when, especially the bronze dragon race has shown justice, but has opposed unjust cruelty, and remind the dragon that the one who had inflicted the pain on it most recently has already perished by its hand, and thus justice has been served, and no further cruelty need be inflicted upon these children or its caretaker. And with that, just talk about in the history of the Bronze Dragon race, where they have shown justice and where they have shown mercy by not showing unjust or unwarranted cruelty, to sort of appease the giant, so that the giant realizes that this dragon should not inflict more pain upon them, and remind the dragon that we are meeting here to bring two races together and not apart.
Okay, go ahead. Roll your check. 26. That's good. As you start talking about justice and law and, fairness and things like that, the dragon does seem to sit back a little, and as you finish up, the Count looks over at you and then looks up at the dragon and says, "I knew my sister was going to get herself killed. I counseled her not to be so rash, but she would not listen to her brother. Instead, she found some boy toy that filled her head with notions that she was some hero of the cloud giants from eras gone by, who had a right to take, now that the ordning has been shattered, to take the cloud giants to a position of control within the ordning. I told her she was mad I told her she was going to get us all killed. And, Master Dragon, by imprisoning you, she very nearly did get all of us killed. My warning to her was not idle. I do not condone what my sister did. I think it was foolish and rash. And the dragon just sort of nods and says, yes, wizard, your words are true. We must think on this. Giant, can we find any common ground? And they go on and they start talking a little bit more. And Krenraid, you are now remember the picture that we have. We have the dragon on the throne, the giant in the center of the room. Off over there on the side, you have Dez and Belle with the kids and some animals that are going on. So there's potentially several different ways you might improve the mood here. What kind of skill would Krenraid like to use, knowing that the two skills that are off limits are history and survival?
So I'm not sure if this is going to be an action or a skill check, but I'll describe it and we maybe can decide together. I'm just going to say it probably be an action, but I'll describe it. I would like to take... I'm going to look around the room first and see what I see. Are there any, like, chains around the room? Or any, like, spears or anything else like that lying around?
Yeah, there's the shafts of those spears. I think you guys took the mithril heads of those spears, but there's those two long spear shafts that were being held by those big statues. Let me take us over to the map and remind you where they are. Those statues, the one that's standing here and the one that's standing here. You guys can, or you have those two big long spear shafts. You all took the mithril heads off of them, but those are two big, huge poles that you can use. And remember, something that's an action, depending on what it is, that can be translated into either an athletics check or an acrobatics check, depending on whether you want to do it as a feat of athletics or a feat of acrobatics.
Okay. Well, what I'm thinking is maybe more artistic. We'll have to see. I'm leaning heavily on Krenraid's experience as a craftsman. And he's trying to think in some way how he can voice his feelings that makes sense, because he's not a very vocal person typically. So I feel like some way he's going to do that is very simply by symbolism. So Krenraid will walk over to one of the spears, attempt to drag it towards the center of the room, probably making a lot of noise.
Okay. The spear shaft, Krenraid has the strength. He could easily pick the spear shaft up and carry it, unless he just wants to drag it for effect.
I think he wants to drag it for effect.
Okay.
Yeah, he's doing it to grab the attention.
Okay.
At this point, they're having a good time right now, and I just wanted to reinforce something. So I'll drag it over in front of them. And I'll ask the dragon, do you mind if I borrow this stick to show you both something I think might help?
And they both, they both look at you and they're like, go on.
All right. So what you see here is a wonderfully crafted long spear without the spearhead. Obviously, it's been removed for safety reasons. There are kids around and we don't want them getting hurt, you know. This is a weapon, right? In the hands of a giant, a mighty weapon. In the hands of me, and I can lift it, I'll start curling it up and down. I can lift this. So it's a mighty weapon in the hands of even me. I want you to think about this as kind of like where you guys are right now. Mr. Giant, you don't really have much choice, quite frankly. You have the illusion of choice, but your sole priority is protecting them youngins, right? You want to keep the kids safe. And Mr. Dragon, you're simply trying to convince yourself that your hatred for these giants is warranted, right? Because these giants this guy's very clearly just said that he doesn't want anything to do with anything that lady did. And he's just here to protect the younglings. And you're having a good discussion about that. What I want to reinforce to you both is that just like this giant long stick, you both have one path ahead. And if you leave your path and dismiss it, the only result you both will face is this. And I'm going to pick it up and snap it.
Okay, I think that's an athletics.
Okay.
And I'm guessing athletics is probably a pretty good skill for.
It's pretty decent. Yeah, it's +10. It's my best one.
Yeah. So you might as well take advantage of that. Yes, you're doing it dramatically by adding your little soliloquy, but still, it's the show of breaking it and showing how the one path can become two or whatever your point is.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll snap it.
18. Oh, not quite. Did you have an advantage from the chat room from last week?
I don't remember, so probably not. No.
Okay. Do you have an inspiration that you haven't used?
No.
Oh.
I could blast into a rage as I smash it, but I should have said that beforehand.
Well, the rage would give you advantage on athletics?
Yeah.
Hey, go ahead. You go into a rage to snap it and take advantage on that check.
Very generous.
Or say you can try and snap, and then it's like, okay, more effort.
Yeah, that's how I'm flavoring it too. Like, I was really trying to make a point here. I'm really annoyed at this. Yes.
It makes more than one attempt to break something or repair it.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, you wind up cracking it. And it kind of bends, but it doesn't completely break cleanly. And it leaves some jagged edges. And both of them say, yes, you've turned a useless stick into a weapon that you can use to gouge your enemies. And then they kind of just sort of look at each other. So it's a second failure. All right.
Cameron is annoyed. He's gonna drag it back into a corner and start beating it up.
Okay. Belle.
Oh, look, as Kid Red kind of drags it out, and he tries and breaks it, and it kind of takes her attention. He kind of like closes her eyes and covers her ears. He kind of squeaks it against the floor again. And is like, "Oh, you're gonna drive me nuts, man! You're gonna drive me nuts!" And she kind of tries and shakes it off and says, "Well, with that out of the way, kids, how about I show you some athletics? Okay, you guys stand this far apart and this far apart, and I'm gonna jump from your hand to your hand. Are you guys okay with that? Of course you guys are, because you guys are brave big ones."
And they kind of look at you, and they're You're not quite sure what to make of it, but they're kind of still smiling. And now, remember, as a spellcaster, you can cast a spell as long as it makes sense and get an automatic success, or you can try making a skill check. It's up to you.
Oh, it's going to be a skill check. Don't worry. It's going to be an athletics check. Just trying to entertain the kids.
You can't use athletics because Krenraid just used it.
Okay, well, I'll use something different, but still the same rules. She'll try and perform a dance from one of their arms over to the other side of them. She'll kind of dance. So that would be an acrobatics? Yeah. Okay, yeah. A performance. Oh, or a performance. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. What was your... You cast a spell last time, right? So... No, I used a persuasion to get the kids over.
That's right. Okay.
Wait. Yeah. Anyway, I can use a performance.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're fine.
So she'll kind of make the kids point up, like to one of the points. So she'll kind of dance around from their hands over to their elbows, kind of swing around up to their shoulders and bounce off one of them and duck onto the other one and climb up them and just kind of dance as she kind of flutters away from them. Being light on her feet and not so crunchy and possibly ruining the floors. Oh, God.
Okay. Wow!
20. Yes, another 2 moves.
Yes, a critical success. So that is 2 successes. So now... we are at 10 successes balanced against only 2 failures. You only need 2 successes to win. And you guys do have several spellcasters. So if you want to automatically succeed, you can be thinking about spells as long as they are not cantrips. So spells that are first level or higher that might make sense to use in order to help the situation here. And you guys have pitched me some different spells that have made sense in the context of where we are. So just keep that in mind. All right, great. Belle, as you do that, it makes the kids just start breaking out in laughter. And they're like, Uncle, look! And, the giant looks away from Krenraid and looks over, and the dragon looks over, and those of you watching the dragon, you can see he just puts a little paw up in front of his snout, and it's almost like you can see the edges of his mouth curl up in kind of a smile, and his belly just shakes a little bit, and the giant says, "Oh, very talented there, kitty."
Kind of down proud on one of their fingers. Oh, I do miss my dancing, don't I? She'll kind of continue on, and she'll kind of spit around up one of their arms onto the other one.
Okay, and Des, we are back to you.
All right. Just to refresh my mind here, my thoughts. If I have a concentration spell going, can I cast another spell that doesn't require concentration?
Yes, you can cast another concentration spell, but it's going to end the concentration spell that you have going.
No, what I meant was if I have a spell that doesn't require concentration,
you can
spell that it's concentrating on.
Yes, you can keep the concentration and cast a non-concentration spell. So yes, you can do that.
Okay. So all right. So then at this point in time, I would like to spend a spell slot and cast Disguise Self as basically a I don't know, something that I've seen in a circus at some point in time. With the top hat and the coattails, and basically make himself look like the bunny corn trainer, with
Okay.
the spanglies and the sparklies and that kind of stuff. So that way he can entertain the children a little bit more by showing off his prowess as disguising himself.
Okay, and because Belle had the dragon and the count focused on the children anyway, you're doing something that delights the kids, kind of keeps their attention over there and keeps it off of each other. So, all right, that's a first level spell slot. So that's an automatic success. And we are now at 11 successes balanced against 2 failures. So, Faldor.
Pressure's all on me.
Man, no, you have several. There's several. You have it's match point. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 match points.
Got you. All right. So trying to go with what I got.
And the last skill used was performance, and your last skill was
History.
History, yeah.
I think I'm gonna take a because this is a +8. So I'm gonna walk over to where the children are and say, "Hey, look, Uncle Thaldor's gonna teach you a trick. Watch this." And I take some coins out of my pouch and I start flicking them through my hands and making them disappear and reappear in my hands with sleight of hand. And maybe the coin trick behind the ear, or I go up to Belle and do that. I was like, "Watch this," and I pull a coin out from behind Belle's ear.
Okay, maybe every time.
Say, what? Where'd it come from? Oh, that's one shiny. And she'll kind of grab it and like shove it in her
I'll
pocket.
give it to her. That's fine.
Maybe every time she does a kick or a spin, you pull a coin out of her ear and makes the kids think, "Oh, hey!" Every time Kitty does that, makes a coin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank God I'm rich.
Yeah. All right. So
about a 26.
26. That is a success, and you guys wind up succeeding, and now the dragon just begins to let out an audible chuckle and pays the giant a compliment, says, "Oh, Count, you have done a wonderful job raising those children there. They are a delight to the senses. I do enjoy hearing their laughter." And the Count says, "Oh, well, their mother surely did not make it easy on me. Fortunately, she was more interested in her pursuit of mad power than she was in her own children, so she didn't interfere. They are one of the 2 great loves in my life, the other one being my greenhouse and my garden." And the dragon says, "What? You are the one who tends the greenhouse." The druid mentioned that. And he says, yes, that's my greenhouse." "Oh, well, let me ask you something, Mr. Giant. Back in one of my lairs, I have a very sickly Phycoplatus sycophorum.
That is, I cannot seem to make the thing grow. I put it in sunlight and it doesn't want to grow. I take it out of the sunlight, it doesn't want to grow. I give it more water, it doesn't want to grow. I give it less water, it doesn't want to grow. And the cloud giant says, "Oh, yes, those phycoplatus, they're very, very tricky." Now, what I have found that they like a specific ambient temperature. If you can get the ambient temperature to be within this, and the dragon says, "Oh, well, that makes sense. My lair is a completely different temperature." And now the two of them just have sort of found this one little common thing.
No.
And they are starting to talk like old neighbors who haven't seen each other in a long time. And you sense that the immediate danger to the giant and the children, and to you, if you should decide to oppose the dragon, is thankfully relieved. So, with a total of 12 successes balanced against 2 failures, you guys have won the skills challenge. Congratulations.
That was lucky. Those were some high rolls.
My skills are on
Guys,
point.
since it's over, what was the DC? 19?
Yeah, the DC was 19.
Oof.
Wow, that's pretty high.
So yeah, it's like last time I did a DC of 18, and I think you guys got through it and maybe had one failure. And I thought, okay, I don't want to make it too much harder because their skills haven't really gone up that much since the last time we had a skills challenge, but I want to make it a little bit harder. So now I know I can ratchet it up a little bit more the next time we have a skills challenge to make it a little bit more difficult for you guys. But yes, so that is a skills challenge in the way that I run them. Congratulations, you guys have won. And that means that you do not have to find out whether the giant would have attacked the dragon or whether the dragon would have attacked the giant, and whether you all would have had to decide to get in the middle of it or not. But as these two, they kind of come over this way and towards the kids, and the dragon kind of comes over here and stands next to the shield guardian. And after a little bit, the children will they've been fascinated looking at this dragon this whole time. And then the little girl will finally run up to the uncle and will tug on his trouser leg, and he will kneel down and she'll cup a hand to his ear and whisper into his ear, and he kind of gets a little bit of a look, and he says, "I'm not sure that would be a good idea, sweet." And the dragon says, "Oh, come, Count. What is the child's question?" And he starts to kind of hem and haw a little bit, and the girl says, Your skin is really pretty, Mr. Dragon. Can I touch it? It looks like metal." And the dragon says, "I don't see why not." And so he will just sort of lay down and stretch his forelegs out and the girl will look over at her brother and will wave to him, and he kind of looks a little bit scared, and then she sticks her tongue out at him, and she runs over and she starts petting the scales of the dragon, and then after a moment there's this oh child, oh that tickles. And then the little boy, he bolts and runs over to where his sister is, and he starts petting the dragon too. And he's like, "Oh, thank you, Mr. Dragon. You're very nice." And and Felgalos will laugh, and then the Count, he's kind of tenses a little bit, but then he sees that the interaction between the kids and the dragon is going well, so he will smile and he will relax, and he will look over to you all, and he says, "It seems that I owe you a debt of gratitude. Thank you for making sure that the children are safe. I appreciate your assistance in this. I was unsure how that was going to go."
I think we all were pretty unsure how that was going to go, including all parties.
And he says, "Yes," he says, it will be very different finding a way to live with a dragon, but for the sake of the children, it will be worth it.
May I make a suggestion?
Of course, small one.
Both of you have suffered greatly in this place. I think that it would be very fitting and a good way of paying your respects for both of you to bury your dead in whatever manner they deem fit, whatever ceremonies you both have together, and say a few words. Quite literally burying the hatchet.
And the Count says, "My people always believe in a return to the sky. It is our way to build a pyre and burn the bodies. But yes, we could go to one of the courtyards if you, Master Dragon, if you are amenable. We could do that." And you all remember that the dragon had kind of indicated the night before that he found a fillet of giant, something of a delicacy. But he looks at the Count, and then he looks at the children, and he looks back at the Count, and he looks over at you, Crenraid, and he says, "Very well. I will. I agree. I did not lose any relatives in this place, but I will assist in whatever way the Count wishes in the ceremony to honor the dead."
I also meant the silver dragon that has been reported to be in that area. You can honor him as well. You can both literally bury the history of this place and your feelings together.
And the Count says, "Oh, by all means, yes. Let us. How would we dispose, or how would we properly pay our respects to the Silver Dragon, Master Dragon. And the dragon says, well, he's a dragon. He flies. Returning him to the sky sounds like a good solution to me. Let us have a pair of pyres. And then he says, the druid told me about a fountain that depicts a silver dragon in chains. Is that a statue or or is that the corpse of a former dragon? And the Count shakes his head and kind of puts his palm over his eyes, and he says, no, that was some god's awful piece of art that my sister commissioned. As far as I'm concerned, rip the damn thing out and just throw it over and let it fall into the ocean, for all I care. It's a hideous piece of torture art. I never have liked that fountain. And the dragon says, very well. That sounds good. Small folk, why don't you help the Count get the bodies and dispose of that statue from the fountain, and then we can build the pyres, and we will say the appropriate words and have the appropriate ceremony.
Yeah, we could build the pyres out of these giant sticks. And he points over the one he's kind of broke. It's doing poetic justice, burning the spears that once hurt you.
And they say, yes, and there's more spears in the armory. I'm sure that Master Dragon, you would like to make sure we maintain the defensive capabilities of the castle, but that's mostly done with the large. Oh God, I want to call them catapults, but
ballistas.
That's not ballista. Yes, thank you. The large ballista, and the dragon says, "Yes, of course. We won't touch any of that. But yes, if there's anything, Count, that you think would be good to use," he says, and the Count says, I have a mind to use some of my sister's bedroom furniture. It's as gaudy as she was. And the dragon gives a laugh and says, I leave that to you. I won't make any claims on that.
Some of those damn chains too. Off the side with it. Wholesale, let's go.
I was saying we could also use some empty barrels and crates too.
Yeah, that you could. All right, so there's a little montage that's going to happen. And in this montage, you guys are going to be able to collect the bodies of the giants and bring them out here to this courtyard over here. And
It means I need to get myself dirty, and then blood's gonna be all over me. And
I think somebody in the
you can
party
grab
has
shield
prestidigitation.
My shield.
I was about to say,
I'll have the shield giant do most of the heavy lifting.
Okay.
And I'll do as much because I don't want to be stepped up by a giant robot.
Yeah.
Dollar helps where he can to help throw wood on the pyres and stuff.
Okay. Oh, oops. I'm sorry. What were you saying, Heather?
And I just agreed. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then while you all are doing that, the Count says, I have an idea. And he goes and he talks to the dragon, and after a while, the Count and the dragon come back out, and they address the party together, and they say, "Well, we've made the first of, well, I guess it's not actually the first because the funeral pyres were the first, but another of what we hope to be many mutual decisions. We've decided that we would like to give you all a token of our appreciation for brokering the peace and perhaps ending the cycle of violence, at least between our clan of cloud giants and the dragons." The Count says, "I found my sister's research and her goals to be extremely distasteful. So I have suggested, and the dragon has agreed, to give you small folk the treasure contents of my sister's study. Now, the dragon would like to keep her spell book, but since there is at least one among you," and he looks at Mulek, "who knows how to copy spells from a spell book, you can look at that and see if there are any spells you can use out of that spell book. And if any of the rest of you keep a spell book, you can avail yourselves of it. Now, I think the bards, they have a limitation based on their level of how many spells they can actually have in their spell book. So you want to see if you have any spots left in your spell book, and then you can figure that out. But in addition, there are some potions and some scrolls and some magic items. Now, the potions and scrolls have a little bit of a catch to them. The potions are giant-sized potions. So that means that each potion is contained in a 1 foot tall crystal flask that weighs 15 pounds while full, or 5 pounds while empty. This potion must be consumed in its entirety to gain its effect, and it will take a medium or small creature 1 full minute to chug down the potion.
Goodness.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
Oh my.
That's 10 rounds if you're in combat trying to drink it.
That's
Yeah,
like
and-
it's like in a massive drinking game from a giant horn to chug, 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 chug.
Grenade, chug this down real quick.
And then the spell scrolls. There are 5 spell scrolls, and each scroll is written on a 12-foot long, 5-foot wide rolled sheet of vellum. But normal size characters can use these scrolls despite their size. So yeah, you would have to kind of figure out, maybe roll that up and throw it in a bag of holding.
Yeah, and try to learn it. Yeah.
Yeah, or try to learn it. So the potions that you have, so giant-sized potions.
Let's make a pool out of potion. Go for a swim.
These.
Oh,
While
that's
they're
like different
talking,
kinds.
Belle will kind of look over to Falliger and say, "See, she was distasteful." Yeah. She'll kind of stick her out her tongue and think, "No, I didn't approve of her anyway."
And the giant-sized scrolls include, so the potions are clairvoyance,
Ooh.
diminution, fire resistance, lightning resistance, storm giant strength, and supreme healing. And the scrolls are animate objects, chain lightning, dominate monster, legend lore, and phantasmal killer.
Very nice.
Ooh.
There's some very
And
good spells
then-
in those scrolls.
And then there are 3 normal-sized magic items. And since since you guys will have plenty of time to identify these, I'm just going to put them in here. Those 3 magic items are a Cloak of Protection,
Ooh.
Eyes of Charming, and a Gem of Seeing.
I need to end up finding a Cloak of Blur. I'd be really good then.
A Cloak of Protection is the plus AC and saving throws, I believe, right?
Yes. Yeah. +1 AC, +1 saving throws. Eyes of Charming allows you to use Charm Person. And Gem of Seeing has some pretty cool properties as well. So we are going to, just for the sake of plot, we are going to advance through the burning of the corpses. The Count will say some words, at the funeral pyre, where all of his kinfolk are being burned, and the dragon will, stand by respectfully and sort of watch as that goes on. And then when it comes time to do the pyre for the silver dragon, and the other thing that Count Thulin asks and suggests maybe they do a third pyre for is for the body of the Aarakocra that his sister used to make her simulacrum. He thought that was just he said that his sister had a tendency to be extremely cruel, and inviting that guy to be a guest and then stuffing him just so she could use his body to make simulacra. He found that to be just the height of her hubris. At least until she decided to capture and torture a dragon. That was probably really the thing that pushed her over the edge. Definitely, it's what cost her life. So the the dragon says a few words of the silver dragon. The Count is very respectful. They do that. And then we are going to take our break. We're almost at time for the break. I have 27 after the hour. So let's go ahead and take about 10 minutes. I'm going to bring the music up. I'm going to put the slate on. We will come back and we will talk about what happens next. Actually, there is something before we go to the break. Those of you who are not going to take a break, you can begin to level your characters up. I believe that you all are currently level 8.
Yes, sir.
You should level up to level 9. Because we're very close, not to changing storylines, but very close to changing venues within the campaign. So I'm going to go ahead and move us over to the...
Do you have the list of spells from the spell book that I can look at?
Oh, I can get those, and I will probably get those for you during the break.
Okay.
I'll put them in the Discord for
I just got an awesome feat for level 9 that automatically comes with my character.
Okay, so
This one's going to be the
let's go.
All right, I'm going to mute myself and I will be back. And thank you, chat, for hanging out with us. And don't forget, the music we have tonight is courtesy of Stream Beats. Not Stream Beats, Pipe Dream Hits.
Guys, I just got insightful manipulator.
Oh?
Starting at ninth level, if you spend at least 1 minute observing or interacting with another creature outside of combat, you can learn information about its capabilities compared to your own. The DM tells you if the creature is equal to, superior, or inferior regards to 2 of the following characteristics that I get to choose: intelligence, wisdom, charisma, or class levels, if any. At the DM's option, you might also realize a piece of the creature's history or one of its personality traits, if it has any. So if I'm doing a stealth mission and I'm watching these creatures, I can tell you how bad they're going to be, or if we can just swipe them.
That's good.
That's a question. Because I don't think we have a really good way of bringing around the big, huge potions. Shouldn't we sell them back to the dragon or the giant or something? See if they'll do a trade?
Well, I've got some ideas how we can use them, don't worry. You can cast Reduce to make the potion smaller. If you're a spellcaster, you could make it into a bath, swim in it to gain its effect. It lasts an hour, some of them, so you could do that before a fight, as an example. You could just chug it, take it out of the bag of holding, and just sit down for about 20 minutes just drinking the damn thing, because again, some of them last like an hour. Supreme Healing one, I think that'd be really funny, right? If we get into a dungeon and we have a really tough time with it, and we get out of the dungeon, we're finally back at a tavern or something. We just say, give us your biggest bath. Yeah. Give us your biggest bath for all of us, and we will just jump in and fill it with the potion.
That is a good idea. Group bath.
Yeah, let's get some HP back, guys.
Superior healing potion. You just pour it into the tub.
Yeah.
We're just going to take a soak. Hey, can you throw a little firewood underneath the thing? Let's think it's a warm potion bath.
Maybe mix in some of the fire resistance to give it a bit of tang.
If you're going to take Belle into a bath, you cannot tell her it's a bath. Because she needs water.
Oh, she's one of those kind of cats. She's one of those kind of cats. Okay.
You just sit there and tell her, this will make you feel better. Just hop in because we all are.
Now, if everyone else was, then yeah, she'll jump in a cannonball and soak you all. But
well, I went up to 66 hit points. I'm still under 100.
Aww.
I'm a rogue. Rogue don't really get a lot of hit points.
Yeah, you just don't worry. You have someone else for that, which is me.
Yeah, because I'm sitting at 14 Constitution, which isn't horrible, but that's why my hit points are so low. But at least, hey, I'm not far from. I'm not far.
Why? I'm looking at my spell save DC on my D&D Beyond. Most of my spells are a DC 16 save, but I have 2 spells that are DC 15s, and I'm not sure why.
Is it is it wisdom instead of a charisma or something like that?
One's a con 15, but another one is a wisdom 15. But all my other wisdom saves are 16s. I have no idea why. So my total that did for my cleric is a DC 15.
Oh, yeah, because that goes off of your wisdom spell instead of your charisma.
And some spells just have a defined, this is how much the save is, and they don't edit depending on your skill.
Yeah, but I have other cleric spells that have DC 16s.
Yeah. Some of them are defined as what they are, and some of them are based on the spell save DC.
Maybe I don't. No, maybe I don't. Maybe it is based off the bard, but... Okay.
Any cool features for level 9?
I don't know. I probably...
Level 5.
I get ability score increase, so I'm trying to figure out if I want to...
What?
My wisdom is...
Alright.
Multi-class.
6.
Yeah. I'm like, the fuck?
My wisdom's 16. I could bump it to an 18, and that would give me, a little bit better cleric, higher saves for enemies.
Also a feat is an option.
Or I could put 1 point into charisma, pop it to 20, and put 1 point in something else like strength, and that would get a +1 into strength.
There's also things like actor, which give you +1 charisma and an ability, which is a feat.
What?
So there are some feats which give you an ability score improvement as well.
What feats is this? Is it just 5e? Are they new feats?
No, some are pretty old. There are some good new ones, though. I think Actor's one that gives you charisma, but I might be wrong about that. That one up.
The hell?
Yeah, Actor, increase your charisma score by 1 to a maximum of 20. Advantage on charisma, deception, and persuasion checks when trying to patch yourself off as a different person. You can mimic the speech of another person or sounds made by other creatures. Yeah. So there's quite a few that are kind of like that give you +1 and some other bonus just as an option for you if you're thinking of increasing one of your scores, because there's some for strength too. There's also Shield Master, which might be very good for you, but and other options too. Back with the game water.
Just thinking that I think that's the play. It's like either increase my charisma by 1 and put another point in strength, or increase my wisdom by 2. What do you think?
What?
Because one of my things is Spirit Guardian, so I'm going to be using that a lot. So that's based off of my wisdom save. I don't know. I'd like to get my wisdom to 20.
No.
What do you think, Paul?
I think Paul stepped away. He said he was getting some water.
Michael, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
What do you think?
Say that one more time.
I could put 1 into charisma and 1 into strength to get a +1 in each of those, or I could put +2 into wisdom. Take my wisdom from 16 to 18.
Ooh, that's not bad. But if you spread it out, that's not bad either. You get a +1 to both. So, I mean, are you wanting, your wisdom, you cast your spells based on what, wisdom and charisma?
Yeah, I'm hoping to get a belt of strength sometime in the future, so maybe my strength is not that big of a deal.
Yeah, strength ain't that big of a deal for you.
Wisdom is good, though.
Wisdom and charisma are good for you.
I could do 1 and 1, but that's just weird.
Did you? Oh, because you multi-class now, you're taking the +2 to your ability rolls, ability score.
Yeah. At level 9, I get a boost. Yeah.
Yeah, Gally, did you hear my insightful manipulator perk I get at level 9?
No. Tell me.
This is the mastermind. Because of the mastermind archetype at level 9, if I spend at least 1 minute of, hold on. If I take 1 minute interacting with another creature outside of combat, I can learn certain information about its capabilities compared to my own. The DM tells you if the creature is equal, superior, or inferior in regard to 2 of the following characteristics of my choice: intelligence, wisdom, charisma, or class levels, if any. As an option, as the DM, you might also realize you know a piece of the creature's history and one of its personality traits if it has any.
Okay. All right. Cool.
I've never played that before, so that's interesting.
Yeah, that is good. And in these 5e published campaigns, a lot of your named NPCs, they will give you like little blocks, like here's some of their personality traits, their bonds, their flaws, stuff like that. And sometimes, depending on how prominent they are in the story, they'll give a little write-up about their history. So
nice.
Yeah, there's lots of stuff for the DM to choose from there that would be relevant for that particular feat, and not just, I got to make something up.
Right. Well, that works. I think that's cool because if I'm on a stealthing mission and I'm trying to find the enemies and I watch them for a minute and I'm observing them, I could learn something about them and take that back to the party.
Dude, this skill expert feat's pretty dope.
Yeah, there are some really great feats I think that suit your character really well. Like there's Warcaster, there's Telepathic, which give you charisma too.
I have Warcaster already.
Nice. Telekinetic.
Hey, Galabon.
Yeah.
Regarding the spell book, what can or I can't? I'm up to level 4, but how much time do we have to learn anything from the spell book?
Well, I will pull the I will pull the curtain back a little bit for you and say that the time that you all have is kind of your own. You might get a little. You might get a message from some of your friends that you left back in Barovia, but there's no sense of urgency that, you need to get out of this castle or, off with your heads.
Okay.
So you have the hospitality of this castle for the moment.
Yeah, there's not like a ton here, a ton of time. I'm basically just gonna role play that as soon as I have a free moment, I'm just gonna start devouring what I can on the spell book to start studying and for as long as I can. It's kind of how I'm gonna.
And then we went over before the rules on if you want to try to copy a spell that's higher than your level, right? How that works.
If I try to copy a spell isn't that for casting a spell higher than my level? I don't think I can copy a spell higher than my level.
Let me just double check that. You might be right.
I think if you have a scroll with a spell level that's higher than what you can, then you got to roll for it to see if you get it. But I don't think I can copy spells. But maybe I can. I don't know.
Learning spells. Okay. Learning spells.
I think he's right. I think there's some exceptions with certain magic items, scrolls, and rituals, I believe, for certain feats, but I think he's right.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You can add it to your spell book if it is a spell of a level you can prepare.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, you can't. All right. I must be mixing that up either with an older edition or with the ability to cast something off of a scroll.
Yeah.
So
there's
basically,
a few notable exceptions.
Yeah. So basically, I have spells from a spell book that I already have that I know if I've got time later I can study. But this one, since I'm not going to be lugging around this, since we can't take it, I'm going to focus on this one.
Yeah. There's two reasons you can't take it. One,
it's
because
huge.
It's huge and sized for a giant. The second is that it is gem encrusted and dragon is greedy.
Yes.
I mean, it makes sense. It's full of power and wealth.
Yes, it's full of power and wealth. So dragon is willing to share and whatnot.
But I know where to come if I want to learn them in the future, if I ever have time.
You do know where you can possibly come. And as the last of the pyres is being, as the last of the pyres is burning low, there is a flickering in the courtyard, a flickering as of an image, and I think I have done a dumb thing. I think I have failed to copy something that I should have copied before. So I'm going to go do that right now. I'm going to do the character vault. And I am going to import an existing character from part 4. And I am going to go to, import. And then I am going to go to, all right, I'm going to choose the game. I'm going to export. Okay, and then I'm going to come back.
So while he's doing that, I'm going to talk with Mulek and be like, Mulek, where are we supposed to go after here?
Well, we've got to use the conch that we've got to go to where that will take us to free King Hecaton,
Mm.
one of the storm giant kings. But we've got to free him out of a prison. So I think we need to do as much preparation as we can before we leave here. And I'm not sure. I know when we were talking to Mordenkainen, and he made it seem like we needed to go do this sooner than later. So my suggestion is to prepare as quick as we can.
I have a feeling we might be hearing from Mordenkainen pretty soon.
And almost as if on cue, there is a flickering figure that appears in the courtyard here, and this flickering figure has a very familiar look, but he's kind of translucent. He's not completely solid. He is a mage, rather distinguished looking older gentleman with flowing robes, and he looks like he's a bit impatient, and his voice matches that. Oh, well, there you are. So, what's going on? I haven't heard from you. Oh my goodness. There's a cloud giant and a bronze dragon. Oh, kids, you better get out of here. Those two are liable to throw down at any moment. And the cloud giant looks and says, "It cannot be." And Felagos says, "Oh my stars! Mordenkainen, is that you?" And he looks over at the dragon and he says, "Well, of course it's me. Who'd you expect? The Avon lady?" And the Count says, "Mordenkainen, I did not know that you still lived. This is incredible." And the dragon is like, "I'm such a fan of your spells, Mordenkainen."
Oh dear God.
And Mordenkainen,
Dragon fanboying.
well, of course you are. And now I sent these folk on an errand. I need to talk with them. I'll be with you in a moment. And he just turns away from the giant and the dragon, and he looks at you. Okay, now where are I see some of you? Where are the rest of you? Come! I don't have all day. The spell only lasts 10 minutes, and it's using an 8th level spell slot, for crying out loud.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
Mordenkainen, always dramatic, and I say that out loud. Good to see you, sir.
You scared the hell out of me, my guy. Can't you knock or something?
Knock schmuck. Oh, there you are, Crinraid. I have some news for you. Yes, we have continued. We have continued doing some research and scrying on the fate of King Hecaton. And did you all get the conch, by the way?
Yes, we have it.
Good.
Imagine Hooray just starts picking up and curling it. Like, yes, here it is.
No, don't worry, I gave it to Mulek. I didn't trust myself with it.
It's safe and sound.
Good. Well, we've learned that there is perhaps some treachery afoot within the court at Maelstrom. Now, Maelstrom, I don't know if you all remember what we told you, but Maelstrom is the court of the Storm Giant King, King Hecaton, and he has, of course, been kidnapped. But we have reason to believe that someone in the court of Maelstrom was involved with kidnapping the king. And we furthermore believe this person is very likely an imposter or a shapeshifter of some kind. And it's likely to be someone who's very close to whomever is seated on the Worm Skull throne. Now, because of the magics barring the sight of the Worm Skull throne itself, we cannot see who is seated upon it. There is a scepter that the leader carries that prevents them from being scryed. But we know at least 2 of his daughters are there. We have not seen his wife, so we don't know what has happened to her, but there are at least 2 of his daughters there. There is a relative who's an uncle and another storm giant who is kind of a matronly advisor to the throne. So likely one of his children, unless his wife is carrying the scepter, and that's why we cannot see her. But you'll have to be very careful when you go there. Now, it's fortunate that King Hecaton and his wife both are very fond of small folk, and at least one of his children is known to have accompanied her mother on visits to the Sword Coast in her youth. So you should meet with, if not open arms, at least not abject hostility. I recommend that when you go, do not go in a threatening posture. See what you can. Likely, if there is an interloper, they will try to sway people against you. But what would really be good for you is if you have some way of seeing the truth of things, being able to see through illusions or see through the true form of anybody that is a shapeshifter. Master Dragon, Master Cloud Giant, do you all know if there's anything in the castle that might help with that? And the Cloud Giant says, I don't know. My sister, the Countess, she was in charge. She was evil to the core. We have given what was in her research study to the small folk. I think they may have had a chance to go through those and identify what we found. And is there anything that seems of use?
Yeah, and I will mention that the time that I have spent with these magic items that we received, this gem of seeing may be what could help us.
Gem of seeing. Yes, that is exactly what you need. Mordenkainen. Mulek, what did I tell you? You are the smartest one of your companions. You may yet make something of yourself despite their bumbling antics.
Mulek closes his eyes, at the others while not trying to let Mordenkainen notice that he's doing that.
Belle will just narrow her eyes very slowly and then just frill her lips a little bit.
Des will cross his arms and also do a slight narrowing of the eyes, like, truly?
Oh, Des, it's good to see you too. Mordenkainen says, all right, well, like I said, this is something of a new spell that I have been working out. I'm calling it Mordenkainen's Distant Discussion. It allows me 10 minutes to carry on a conversation with somebody that I know, distant plane, more convenient than the simple sending spell, but the cost is it requires an 8th level slot.
Oh. Well, we love seeing you, Mordenkainen. We're glad you could stick around a little bit longer to visit.
As you should. As you should. So now, what's going on here? What's your report from this cloud giant castle? Did you got the conch? So our intelligence proved to be true. What is this? I see this cloud giant and this dragon. They're not tearing each other apart. What's going on here? Mulek?
Mulek looks to Faliger. Faliger?
I will stick her finger up in the air and says, "That pair of kids! Oh wait, I left the kids alone." And she'll kind of run on back.
The power of kids? What is she going on about?
The dragon and the cloud giants have made a truce.
Oh. Well, wonders may never cease. Hey, have you told them about all of the shenanigans going on in the Sword Coast? Have you made them aware of the danger?
I have no idea where we're at, Mordenkainen, as we've been teleported and traveled and transferred to many different places. I haven't seen home in quite some time. So I don't know what's going on in the Sword Coast besides what we've had happen. But other than that, no.
And he says, "Let me check." And then he says, "Where are they? Where's the castle now?" And you hear a voice call back, "Oh, in the Sea of Storms." And oh, well, you all are not far from the Sword Coast. You're just over the Sea of Storms at the moment, which is not a bad thing. And Count Thulin says, "Well, I could have told them that." And Feligo says, "Yes, we could have told you that." And Mordenkainen says, "Well, we're just keeping an eye on our charges. Don't bother. We won't look in on whatever you all have going on here. It's your home. All we care about is the people that we have invested in to do some work for us. Despite their youth, they're actually quite capable. But don't let them hear me say that. Don't tell them I said that." And he's talking to the giant and dragon as though you all can't hear him at the moment, even though you're standing right there. The cloud giant just kind of smirks, and the dragon just sort of looks over at you and looks back at Mordenkainen and then looks over at you, and then he's just like, "Okay, this is not who I thought this guy was going to be." But Mordenkainen will eventually go on, and he starts just reminding you of being careful and sort of going over like the first day of adventuring school stuff that you should do, and eventually the timer times out, and just mid-sentence he disappears, and he's gone. And
what was he saying? Oh, never mind. We're good.
And
I have no idea.
And the giant and the dragon will say, "Why didn't you tell us you knew Mordenkainen? And you were working for him?"
Well, working with him, one could say we're partners. As an expert mage, yeah.
So what was all this trouble that he was talking about?
Bad stuff, mate. Honestly, I can't really remember all of it.
She was a fan of Mordenkainen too, but she probably never would believe anybody that said that they actually knew him. You know, such was her hubris. And Dragon says, "Shame, she was a powerful spellcaster." And the Count says, yes, she was, but she put her mind to all the wrong sorts of things. And, the dragon looks at some of his scars and says, I won't argue with you. I won't argue with you about that. And so is somebody going to sort of relate what the group has been doing? I mean, you don't have to.
Yes, I will.
Gremlin definitely doesn't remember.
Okay.
Gremlin's forgot about that already, definitely.
I will bring him up to date.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because you've heard the story from Falazur and Mulek and Thaldor about chasing after the dragon and the chasing after the cult of the dragon, and then the
battle in Gragglestug.
Cults of elemental evil and the battle in Gragglestug. And when you tell them about Demogorgon, they're like, "You saw Demogorgon in the Underdark? Oh my God! And you lived." And they turn and they look at each other. The giant and the dragon turn and look at each other and says, "I guess we're both lucky to be alive." And they're like, "Yeah, okay. So, you all said you are leaving, right?"
Wait. Do you guys think that's up to date?
You missed a little
man,
bit, Belle.
do I ever have things to fill you in? She'll kind of chuckle to herself.
Also, don't forget the fact that we met a lich too. That was interesting.
A lich. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he's
Actually, you met
the Underdark.
Yeah, and then you actually met another lich while you were in the company of Mordenkainen.
Yeah.
And then also you had a run-in with the Vampire Lord. Thankfully, not a direct confrontation, but
Yeah, and we pissed off the Vampire Lord of Barovia, apparently. So that was interesting. Because we're all just sitting here reminiscing over the crazy adventures we've had.
Yeah. Do you remember that time we played for the king in Gracklestug and there was that succubus lady? That was fun, wasn't it?
Oh, that was a blast, literally.
Mm.
and those two are like, I wish you had time to write all of this down in a story, but maybe when your adventures are when you have a time to rest from your adventures, you can come back and tell us more about it. Hopefully by then we'll have figured out what we're going to be doing with this castle.
Dowdor pulls out a quill and paper, starts writing bullet points down for a book.
Okay.
Just writing bullet points, like different things from our adventures that I can scribble down real quick and then put it back in my pack. Oh, that's a start.
Okay, so whoops. James, I think you were trying to talk, but you were extremely, extremely quiet.
No, sorry. Ignore what that was.
Okay. All right. So, I need to double check before we actually move our map or anything. Has everybody successfully been able to level up to level 9? Or does anybody have any questions about what they need to do for level 9?
I have not completed leveling up. It takes me a little bit. It takes me a little bit longer.
Okay, you've not finished. That's fine.
I'm taking a sec to think about it as well.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm trying to decide whether to go fight.
Huh?
Are you going to be copying our characters into another thing
Not
now?
yet.
Okay.
Not yet, because we're still staying in the storyline. Like I said, we're not changing storylines, but we are changing venues within this storyline.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Because the next major plot point is when you guys use the conch of teleportation.
Well, in that question, I asked Mordenkainen. Mordenkainen, does that conch have more than one use?
He's gone. He already left.
Did he disappear?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I asked Mulek to send him a message when you can, Mulek, and ask him, does that conch have more than one use?
It's a magic item, and you know that from what you heard from your uncle Abinadam and from your uncle Dorzafir and their experience with magic items, most powerful magic items do have a permanent enchantment. Now they have a limitation of how many times they can be used in a day usually, but they're not one-use items.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, they're so yeah, the way this works is you basically because it's a conch shell, it's designed in such a way, and there's a rune inscribed on the inside of that shell, and you basically blow into that little pointy end, and it's like blowing a seashell horn. And when you do that, it activates the teleportation and takes you to the location that is keyed to that rune. And it can be used once per day.
Okay.
But it will always take you to that same location.
Oh, okay. So you can't just teleport random places. Got you.
Right. The conch is always designed by and they're pretty much used and created by storm giant sorcerers or wizards. And they are designed for use to take you to a point of their choosing. All right, so we have a few people that are still leveling up. So while we are leveling up, what kind of things would you guys want to have ready before you teleport, and what sorts of questions do you have? Because remember, there's a library here, and you guys may be able to find out information by consulting the library. And now that they know you guys are working for Mordenkainen and some of his amazing friends, they will be very happy to help you do research in the library to figure out what you...
For sure. Thaldur would be there with his nose in books and just start reading and learn what he can about storm giants and history, and maybe their techniques of building and stuff. I'm just reading through books.
Bellinger would do the same since he's a lore bard.
I would most likely be working with the mithril we've collected to transform it into some armor, most likely. I believe that was our intention.
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
Hanging out into the greenhouse once I find out what the creepy things are in there.
The Count will tell you that the creepy things are... what are they? Hold on. I've got to find the... That's 28. Area 28. They are awakened shrubs. There are 7 awakened shrubs. They guard the greenhouse and they protect the other plants. and Count Thulin says they are really quite friendly as long as they get to know you. So basically, he will take you to the greenhouse, and if you are in his company, the awakened shrubs won't harass you or bother you.
As the Count is taking Des to the greenhouse, Belle will just follow, just glaring at the giant, thinking about something. Having a question on her mind, but not speaking up quite yet.
Okay. All right. So you guys go, oh, okay. Krenraid. Maddie has given you advantage in the chat.
Thanks, babe.
Oh.
I'm playing Credit Raid Fork.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. You guys are going to the greenhouse. What are there? Okay, a couple of other people are doing research, and if you're doing research in the library, I need kind of some specific questions. What kinds of things are you looking for? And we'll do some rolls, find out what you know, and then I'll tell you what you discover in those. So let's find out what everybody else is doing. We have Des and Belle going to the greenhouse. I heard Falliger and Thaldor are in the library. Krenraid is working on crafting something from the mithril. And Mulek, what were you doing?
I'm studying the spell book.
Okay, studying the spell book. Wonderful. All right, so then let's go to the library. And Thaldor, specifically, what kinds of things are you looking up about storm giants? What do you want to know? What do you want to know about them? What are you trying to determine?
He's talking to
Michael?
me. Sorry.
Michael, are you with us?
Sorry about that. Yeah, sorry about that. I couldn't hear you for a second.
Okay.
What am I trying to determine? So I want to know a little bit of the lore. Well, I mean, we got the lore bard. So no, I want to know the history. I want to know like how they were founded, their hierarchy. I want to know their building techniques. If there's any sort of little blueprints on a storm, giant's castle. Just the different things I can learn to kind of better infiltrate where we're going.
Okay. All right. Then, yes. In that case, since you are in a library and since people are helping you here, go ahead and make a history check with advantage. Okay, there's 26
There you
and
go.
16. Okay, so 26. You actually find a tome that it looks like somebody has been reading recently on storm giants. So the storm giants sit at, historically, they sit at the top of the ordning. And the ordning is sort of the political and feudal hierarchy that the giants have arranged themselves in. The storm giants are the tallest and the physically strongest, as well as the most adept magic users among the giant races. And because of that, they kind of are the apex of the giants. down on the rung below them, you have kind of the cloud giants on one side and the fire giants on the other side. The cloud giants, because they tend to be imbued with a lot of magic. The fire giants are historically the crafters and the forgers among the giants, because they like to build their strongholds in volcanoes, stuff like that. Then you have the stone giants below them, and then you have the hill giants, which is kind of the brutes of the giant race. You also learn that storm giants tend to build their castles under or at the bottom of the ocean. And while the castles are at the bottom of the ocean, they are magically warded such that they are not completely flooded. So you would expect that as an air-breathing creature, if you have a way of teleporting to a castle, you should probably be able to walk around and breathe. But if you ever try to leave the castle by any means other than a teleportation, you're going to have to somehow get from the bottom of the ocean to the surface without dying. So that could be a bit tricky.
So wait, their castle's underwater.
Yes.
Oh, great. So I look over at Falliger and go, yeah, you know these are drowned castles, Falliger? It's very interesting. Look here. We can't leave unless we teleport out. So hopefully Mulek or Mordenkainen has something up their sleeve, because we're not walking out the front door in this one.
Well, I do believe that's why we needed that conch of teleportation. Am I right?
That makes a hell of a lot more sense now. Yes, sir. I think we're going to have some issues if we try to walk out the front door. So I know we're getting in magically. Lord knows if we can get out magically. Because based here on my research, they're pretty magical creatures in themselves. So it's going to be an uphill battle. No pun intended.
Okay, so that's what Faldor is looking for. Falliger, what are you looking for in what kind of information would you want to know?
He'll probably be more fascinated in like the more mystic side of the lore, like things about their music, their traditions, what deities they worship. Are there any like special magical items that relate to them? Things like that. More things of legend, myth and legend and stories and,
Okay. Unless there's a better, more specialized way lore bards have for it, I would say you can make a history check with advantage.
Yeah, I really wish they would. They really should put lore as a skill,
like a legend lore. There used to be this legend lore thing in older versions of
D&D. And it should be based on charisma, because it's like, when you're talking about legends and myths, it's all oratory, right? So mostly in a lot of cultures. Anyway, off my soapbox. All right, so history with advantage.
Yeah.
Can I guidance myself, or is that cheating?
Yeah, you could guidance yourself.
All right.
I just say give yourself guidance on the highest roll.
Okay. All right. I'll take a 20.
20. Yeah, that's good. So, so what you find is something about that talks about the artwork and music specifically of Maelstrom, which is the stronghold of King Hecaton. And for centuries, Maelstrom has been the stronghold of the most powerful storm giant kings. It's carved into a reef 3,000 feet beneath the surface of the trackless sea. There's got several rocky towers, and between them is a large sinkhole that descends into the heart of the fortress. And that sinkhole will sometimes cause ocean currents to form a great whirlpool that has enough strength to draw ships down into it. And, of course, destroy the ships and presumably kill everybody on board. And so there's rumors that there's a tremendous amount of lost wealth that is in this stronghold from all the ships that have gone down. Now, you asked about music, and it is said that they have a very unusual kind of pipe organ in this stronghold, and the pipe organ is one that is relies on actually living giant crabs, and by some means the giants are able to stimulate the crabs, which then produce tones, and you can kind of you sort of play these crabs in the way that if I don't know if Fallager, or more importantly, if the player has ever heard of an instrument called a glass harmonica, where it's basically a series of tubes, crystal tubes that are filled with various different levels of water. And you sort of rub your finger across the top of the tube, and based on how much water is in it, it makes different tones and stuff like that. So that's kind of like the idea with this pipe organ, is that somehow the giants are able to play it. And it's so it's sort of a very strange kind of instrument. And then in terms of the magic, storm giants, they're just normally very, very powerful magic users.
Would I at least be able to find out like what kind of spells they normally can use?
Yeah, they normally can do things like control weather. They have the ability to control the weather. They can hurl lightning bolts, and it's not unheard of for them to be able to hurl lightning bolts as far as 500 feet. They are amphibious, so they're able to breathe water as well as breathe air, and they can confer water breathing on other creatures as well through their magic. And then also they have the ability to levitate and move through the air.
You said they can do a lightning strike?
Yeah. You know how most giants can hurl a boulder at things? These guys can basically reach into the clouds and grab lightning and hurl it at somebody.
Okay, so it's kind of like out of character.
Yeah.
It's like a dragon's breath, basically.
Yeah, it's kind of like a dragon's breath.
Same mechanic.
Yeah,
My other character
except-
recharges on a 5 or 6. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. That's pretty useful. I mean, I think that's useful knowledge for player knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, look out for lightning. Watch out for hurling boulders, and if you're in an area that's filled with air, they wouldn't mind flooding it because it's not going to bother them.
Awesome.
So, they're. So, anything else you guys are looking for?
I mean, if that's what we got on our rolls, that's what we got. That's pretty good info from both of us, I think.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Des, anything in particular you're trying to find out at this greenhouse, other than knowing that
Just,
those were weakened shrubs?
Just getting used to the shrubs and just doing this relax and reflect and all that fun stuff.
Okay. You notice, those of you who travel around the castle, if you go out on the appropriate level over to that other side over there, you will eventually see that indeed they have been true to their word, and that fountain that had the silver dragon in chains, the plinth is there. There is no longer a silver dragon, and presumably they took it and they just chucked it over the side into the ocean far below.
Okay.
So,
what about the water elemental that was there?
Water elemental doesn't seem to be there anymore.
Okay. So, yep, that's about it. Just trying to go back over things in his mind and just spending some time doing some meditation, some druid stuff,
Okay. Belle, you were following after the count and had a question on your mind, but you weren't quite ready to ask it yet. After you guys go to the greenhouse for a little bit, what do you get up to?
She would still be following around the count. Everywhere he goes, she would just be taking a step behind him, just looking off at him, thinking.
Okay, eventually he'll kind of notice you there and he'll say, yes, little one, is there a question you have?
Yes, very much so. Wordy, how many of these are there? As she kind of stomps her feet on the ground, symbolizing like the whole castle that's flying.
And he doesn't seem to understand you at first, and so you eventually have to kind of get around to explaining that you're asking about the flying castles. And he says, oh, as well, there are a number of them. Most of the cloud giant nobles have their own castles. Some of them are like my sister, the sort of cloud giants you don't want to run into. Some of them are more friendly sorts that will even sometimes consort with small folk.
Do you know if your sister was doing something with the Cult of the Dragon, or know any of the giants that were? Cause I know that they were communicating with some. With my spying, with my all-seeing eyes, so she'll kind of like glare up at him and like point at her eyes, and point up at his.
And he says, oh, No, she did not run with the cult of the dragon. In fact, of course, as you see, with her imprisoning of Felagos and torture of him, she hated dragons of all kinds. Doesn't matter whether they were metallic or chromatic. She thought that giants were superior to dragons. The only good dragon, she said, was either an enslaved one that knew how to serve or a dead one.
That's kind of cruel.
Very much so. That was my sister. I do not think that she would have had any association with anyone that would work with dragons. But you say this cult of the dragon. From what your friends were saying, their cult that was dedicated to Tiamat, the evil goddess of the chromatic dragons.
I think it was like 7 heads, or yeah, probably sounds about right.
7 was it, or 5? I don't remember. I've heard of Tiamat, of course.
Numbers. I was more thinking of the slavers that were trying to chase me out of there, but then I made them fight the beetles and the kobolds. Yummy snacks. She'll kind of go off and rambling a bit, and then she'll kind of shake her head and says, anyway, back to the point. Mister, do you know any of the giants that were, like, could have been pursuing with the cult of the dragon?
I do not know. And with the new situation that we have, I'm afraid I would have to be very careful in reaching out to any of my fellow cloud giants. Many of them would immediately conclude that I was a hostage of this dragon and would come with all force if they learned anything about us. I do not know, and I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to help you with any research on that. It would be too dangerous for the children.
Well, just keep your own paws out, okay? And she'll kind of like stick her hand up to try and shake his hand, but then, like, give me a finger, like your pinky. It's smallest.
And he'll just sort of kneel down and reach out his pinky towards you so you can grab it and shake it.
And she'll like try and grab it with one finger, and then she'll just kind of stick her claws out so she kind of has more of a reach, and she'll kind of like shake his hand, kind of, but failing miserably.
Yeah, and he just kind of grins at you, making your awkward attempt. And then he will get up and he will go about working in his greenhouse.
Yeah, she'll run away happily, trying to run back to the library.
Okay. All right, so let's go and check in with Krenraid. Krenraid, you were working on some crafts of some kind. What are you doing with this mithril?
We found 2 spear tips made from Mithril, giant statues. I've been trying to work out in my head, and I could definitely use your input on this, how much that would weigh. Because I know how much a breastplate would weigh.
You actually found 3, because as I looked at it, I think I told you guys late in the session, the Countess had a spear with a mithril head on it. So each of those spearheads weighs 10 pounds. So you have 30 pounds of mithril.
Right. Thank you. Because I was thinking maybe it's hollow, some spears are. Maybe, or is it just a lunk of metal?
No, it's made to be a weapon, and it's made to have some heft. So it's solid mithril.
Okay, so we can make 1 half plate, I believe, from that, looking at the weight. So that's probably what I'll attempt to make, because I know that myself, Michael and Kenneth all use that, and I think Michael may get the best benefit out of it because it doesn't impose stealth disadvantage. Obviously, as a player, I know this.
I can't wear plate.
You can't wear plate?
No, my
medium
I
armor?
can only wear light armor.
Oh, sorry.
I'm the one that is plagued by
plate. Yeah.
disadvantage.
I can only wear like leather.
Which means you
armor
can't
and
take me anywhere. You know what I'm saying?
And me and you both, but it doesn't really bother me that much. So I'll probably be making the half plate breastplate for Ken's character, and we'll go from there. So essentially, it'll be a matter of, looking for the forge in this place. It must have something somewhere, a furnace or something.
Yeah. We'll say you can find a forge down on the lower level. So
I'll sit down and whistle out a mold from some of the bookshelves or something, or just take one apart and just grab the wood.
Okay. Yeah, they'll actually. Since the count really didn't like the fact that his sister kept griffins, he thinks they are too volatile of creatures. He and the dragon talk about perhaps finding and recruiting a family of giant eagles that might want to nest in the sheltered area in the tower. They could use those perhaps as allies and messengers and things like that. So that whole area where all those griffin cages were is available if you wanted to go and do something with that. So that would be down here.
That's actually absolutely perfect, because I was going to ask for the Counts and the Dragon's permission to use some of the feathers and perhaps the beaks from the griffins in my craft.
Oh, yeah. Well, you have one griffin beak because the dragon scared the others away.
Yes.
And they did not return because... well, for whatever reason, maybe they weren't treated very well.
Probably not.
By the Countess. So, they just didn't go. So, yeah, you can, and there's obviously in the bottom of the cages, you can find plenty of feathers and stuff. So use whatever you want.
Essentially, what I'm after is the beak from the griffin, the claw is talons, and the feathers, to try and make this half plate a bit more fanciful, because Conrad's a bit creative in this sense. He likes getting a bit imaginative of what he's making, and he's thinking of Asher, and he's thinking of Faldor and what they might like, because he doesn't really realize who's going to have this yet. He knows that it's not him.
Okay, before we say definitely you can use that, did anybody else, since we had parts of one griffin, did anybody else have any specific needs or thoughts or uses in mind for the talons or the beak? I'm going to say there's plenty of feathers, so you don't have to worry about fighting over feathers, because there's plenty for people to do whatever they want with those. But there's a limited number of talons and one beak. Okay, nobody else is claiming it, so you go ahead.
Well, I mean, it does bring up a good question, and Conrad's kind of just lost in thought. He's probably scribbling down literally in the stone itself with a knife or something, or maybe one of the spear tips, because he doesn't really realize any better. Oh, this will look cool. I will do that. That'll look cool. I could make a weapon out of the beak or the talons. So I'm trying to think who could use that. I know there's certainly one person in our group that doesn't like using metal weapons. How would he feel about using a one made of nature, of the dead animals that already existed? So I'd probably go and find Des and ask,
okay,
are you okay with your current stick, or can I make you something a bit more fanciful?
Current stick. Oh,
yeah.
Well, if you're in the mood to make something a little more fanciful, I wouldn't say no. But yeah, if you've got something in mind, I'd love to see what you've got.
What kind of things are you used to using? What kind of weapons do you feel comfortable using?
Well, other than slinging spells, the two things that I mainly use are my quarterstaff and a sling.
Okay. I had to think about that one. Because we can't really attach any talons or something to a stick. That'll make it into a spear. That's not really a quarterstaff, is that point, is it? Yeah, to think about that.
Well, you could always make me find me a stick with a V at the top, and I could make it into a slingshot. You could do metal balls to shoot out of it.
Do you require some metal balls to shoot out your slingshot?
Well, I have a sling, but I can also use slingshots. So.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Maybe I could do that with your spear, so you got a quarterstaff / sling.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I could figure something for that.
Sling staff, yeah.
Sling staff, yeah. It's got my mind thinking. So he's probably going to go back and he's going to go sit down and again he's going to go crudely draw and he's more of a mind doer than a physical doer.
Okay.
So I think what we'll do is, just to speed things up, we're going to make a half plate from the mithril, which will be...
Hold on.
Yeah, what's up? I would ask the input of people first that I'm making it for, so I would come and ask you, budget out in mind.
Yeah. Out of character, so mithril is half the weight of steel, according to 5e rules. And I think you could, I don't know if Galley will allow it, but you could, I'm wearing splint mail right now, and it weighs 60 pounds. And then there's plate mail, and it weighs 65 pounds. So it's really up to Galley if whether you can make a plate mail or a splint.
Well, I was thinking half plate because it's 20 mithril, 20 pounds of mithril then.
Oh, what are you going to do with the other mithril?
I haven't quite decided yet because there's 15 things of metal. There may be some benefit to having on another character some other piece of armor, or perhaps we can save it for another day. I'm not quite sure yet. We could also make it into weaponry.
Oh, well then, I mean, I don't want to give up 2 AC, so you can make it for someone else if you like.
Oh, are you using full plate? Is that what you're saying?
I'm using splint mail.
Splint mail, okay. Is that better than half plate for you?
Yes.
Ah, okay, well that's important. So I can make use of splint mail then.
You could, or plate. It's really up to Galley. If 5D's gonna...
Yeah, you can't make plate because you would have to have some extra metal. I'm going to be pretty firm on that. If it's 65 pounds of metal that you need, then you only have 30. So you would need like 35 pounds of mithril to do that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to do it with. So
unless we find 5 pounds of mithril somewhere, or we just make splint, or you make it for another piece for someone else.
Or I could save it. Don't have to use a mithril now.
Well, I don't know. Next time we'll have availability to a nice
mithril.
forge.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely correct. Should we go with scale mail for now? Gonna make that 45 and half. So
why don't we just put it on the back burner, like out of game discussion?
Yeah, okay. So I'll make some armor up. Is it okay if I just don't define what it is and we just decide after the session? Once we have a bit more out character in the section. Nice. So I'll make some armor up and I'll decorate it with griffin feathers in a very fanciful pattern, kind of like in a V along the neck and then across the vambraces as well. And it'll look pretty nice. Primer's going to be pretty happy with it if he's able to make it without a roll. Obviously, with a roll, it might change.
Yeah.
You can use a tool roll if you would like.
To think Falliger might even, if you were going to make something for Falliger, unless you wanted it to be a surprise, I mean, he would love the idea to help to make something with you.
I'd probably come over to you in the library.
As a peer bonding thing.
Yeah, I'll probably come over to you in the library and ask, what do you have in mind? I've got these materials, I'm thinking about making this, this, and this. Okay, maybe you can draw it a bit better.
Yeah, he would definitely love to collaborate with you on something like that. That'd be fun.
Cool. So we'll go down and get started on the armor.
Yeah, so let's...
And I say one thing to Crinraid. Crinraid, what would it take to make a mithril short sword?
Let's find out. Let me just think about this for a second.
The reason I ask you is because it's lighter than steel, and I can use it. I have a short sword, but something that would make me a little bit faster, Oh,
I see. Yeah, so you can swing it faster. Are you used to the weight, though? Doesn't it kind of move with you a bit?
No, I mean, I have the speed. I just, it would make me more dexterous to have a lighter sword.
I could make you a pair if you would like. It's not a problem with me. We have enough mithril.
I'd say a pair wouldn't do me too good. I mean, I can attack with my offhand. That is true. I can do 2-weapon fighting. That makes sense. If we have the mithril after you're done with Fowler's armor, if it's not too much problem with the group, a pair of short swords wouldn't be a bad idea.
I've made short swords many times for the wee children of the Hillcrest folk. You got to teach them young, and short swords are one of the best ways to do that, other than a little hammer, of course.
No, right.
I remember they weigh about 2-3 pounds, something like that. Mithril will be even lighter.
Fair. If there's enough left over and it's not too much trouble for you.
Yeah. We'll see what the armor is that people want. No
problem. That would come in handy. Because what would a mithril short sword be, Gally? Is that a +1 sword?
No, not unless it's enchanted.
Yeah,
it would be a mithril sword. There's I don't know that there's you'd be better off having like an adamantine weapon, because there are creatures that have resistance to non-magical weapons unless they're made of adamantine. There's really not any creatures that have resistance to non-magical weapons unless they're made of mithril.
There is sorry, Ron.
The mithril is better probably for armor because it gives you lighter weight with the same protection, and can sometimes tip the balance between disadvantage and not disadvantage on stealth checks or other types of checks. But that would be the...
Here's a question, though. Is there weapons damage in 5e where weapons take damage, like from acid or anything like that? I don't remember that.
There are things like, there are creatures that say if this comes in contact with a metal weapon, it will... And basically, it's like die rolls. And you get a certain number of die rolls, and the weapon becomes useless.
Right, where mithril like always stays sharp.
Oozes and stuff like that. Now, because
I was curious about that, because being Crinraid's a master blacksmith, I was thinking if I had a mithril sword, it would always stay sharp, but it would always retain its shape too. It wouldn't be bent or broken.
Well,
to a degree.
Let's just double check that.
Yeah, that's what I was curious about. That was what I was wondering about it.
Other thing, we did get a lot of silver coins as a reward, so I could also make silvered weapons.
Yeah.
We already have the...
You can imbibe the mithril with silver, too.
True.
What are you using as a sword right now?
I have just a short sword. That's all I have, yeah. And it's a +9 to attack, but that's because of my dex, or my hit.
You can't use long swords?
No, I can only use...
All right.
Well, no, wait a minute. Yeah, I can. I can use crossbow, my hand unarmed, long sword, rapier, short sword, and simple weapons.
I have a Montage sword it's magical, if you'd like to have it.
Okay, so Thaldor.
Yes, sir.
Here, I'm going to read you the thing from the Black Pudding. Corrosive form. Any non-magical weapon made of metal or wood that hits the pudding corrodes. Period.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter what kind of metal it's made of. So that'll even affect adamantine as well as
Right.
mithril weapons.
Got you. So it doesn't matter what the sword's made of. I got you.
Yeah.
So
And
then
then
I just look at Crinrate and say, no, make him some armor. I'm all right.
All right. Well, what about silver? I'll say in response. We have plenty of coins.
That we
Maybe
do.
some more bolts and another maybe a short sword to replace that one that we just dipped in silver.
Yeah, that'd be fine if you want to replace. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. Yeah.
Yeah, because there are a number of creatures that, lycanthropes and certain undead and things like that, that will be hurt just as much by a non-magical silvered weapon as they will by a magical weapon. Except
Grim is going from his experience in Barovia.
Right.
Yeah. That's fine, Crinrate. If you want to make me a true silver short sword, silver, say that 5 times fast. Silver short sword, I'm fine with that, buddy. That's perfectly.
Okay.
And if you need any more silver from me, just let me know.
So Grimray will set himself to the task. He'll start whittling out various casts and molds. Probably he's already got one for some bolts for the crossbow because he's already done that before. So he'll probably get that one out from his pack. And he will wait one for a short sword, and he'd go around the table. And essentially, I'm just going to make an open question to everyone to try and speed up the process. Does anyone need a silvered weapon? Or would want a silvered weapon?
Okay.
I think we're good.
Yep.
So I'm going to make
All
a
right.
maul for myself. We're going to have a short sword, and we're going to have some bolts from the silver. I can work that out using the same method for the bolts, so we can discuss it.
Silver
Okay,
arrows.
and last,
thing?
you can make silver arrowheads. And last but not least, before we end for the night, we're going to go back to the study. And we're going to check in with Mulek. Mulek, you've been poring over that spell book.
Yes.
So any questions about the stuff you found in there? Or are you, have you figured out what you wanted to copy out of it?
There's I think I decided just to copy 1 3rd level spell out of it.
Okay. All right. Okay. And then did that, now at this point, has everybody managed to finish their leveling up so that when we start next week, you'll be at level 9?
I have finished.
I have.
Okay, wonderful. All right. Well, then, I think what we're going to do, instead of starting something new, we are going to call the session here a few minutes early. And what we will do next time that we get together is we will begin with you all saying your goodbyes to your giant and dragon friend, and then using the conch of teleportation to go to Maelstrom. If there's any last thing, then it's just sort of montage that you take whatever time you need to create the stuff that has happened and whatnot. You all are fed by the ogres, who don't. They are just as happy to cook for a dragon, just as happy to cook for the giants, just as happy to cook for you guys. They don't really seem to care. Just let them in their kitchen and leave them alone, and they're fine. And and they're surprisingly good cooks. Not the brightest bulbs on the tree, but man, they make some tasty victuals.
It's making me hungry just thinking about it.
Yeah. So, all right. That is where we will leave it. And I am going to pull back the curtain just slightly to reveal to you guys and reveal to the stream what was going to happen if the skills challenge had gone bad. If the skills challenge had gone bad, both Count Thalin and the dragon would have fought anyone who opposed them to the death. So, it's like if you jumped in on one side or the other, they would fight until the other principal was down, and then they would give the party one chance to lay down their weapons and or to put away their weapons and not fight to the death. But if the party failed, then it would be a fight to the death between the party and whichever one of those survived. And if that happened, regardless of whether you sided with the victor or whether you fought the victor and some or all of you were killed or the other person was killed, then as you all are kind of licking your wounds at the end of that battle, you would see a great shadow over the castle, a shadow of an ancient red dragon that had kind of been scrying on this place for a while and had designs on taking it for himself. So it would be kind of like, okay, you guys screwed up. Yeah, you have that conch. You can get out of here, and this is probably a good time to use it. Just get the hell out.
So since we won, we got some really good items and spells. Yeah,
you wound up getting extra treasure. So the initial bonus is you didn't have to fight, or you didn't have to get between a fight between a giant and a dragon. And knowing the way things have been going last week, I honestly don't know. Like I said, it would have been a die roll if the skills challenge had failed. I would have rolled a die, and 50% chance the giant would attack first, 50% chance the dragon would attack first, and then depending on how that went down and what you all had been talking about the last couple of weeks, once you found out there were kids here, who knows what would have happened? Because if that dragon got the bloodlust, it's like all giants have to die. Wouldn't care how old or young they are. And then obviously the giant, if he succeeded in killing the dragon, he probably would be very, very hurt at the end of that fight. And he probably would have given you a chance to walk away with your lives, but you kind of sided with that dragon against his family. So you wouldn't be very welcome in his eyes either. So and then on top of that, Clouth, old Snatch. There's actually a red dragon written into this adventure that, and they suggest that if the party succeeds in taking the castle as a way of spurring them along on the adventure, it might be a good idea to have Clouth show up and want to take the castle for himself. It's like, yep, you can't stay here.
With the level the adventurers will be at that point, not a chance. Time to leave.
No. So it's like, you don't got to go home, but you got to get up out of here.
Before we end, we should discuss who wants to attune to the Gem of Seeing, or the Cloak of Protection, or the Eyes of Charming. Each of these require attunement. So if we want to use the Gem of Seeing, does anyone have any open slots to attune to?
Also keep in mind the rarity. That's a rare item. So if you're currently attuned to a common or uncommon item, might be a good trade-off to...
I've got 2 slots to attune to items.
Oh, okay.
I was letting you look on this. Like, I've got the ability to maybe attune to 2 more items.
Okay.
And there's your sneaking around person. If you want somebody to go scout and figure out who's
Bruce
not.
sight.
Yeah. You're gonna want the gem of seeing.
What does it
I
do?
agree.
So it you get 3 uses of it each day, and you basically have a gem, like a lens, that when you peer through it, you have true sight out to 120 feet.
Ooh.
For
And you
10
can
minutes.
use it. You can use it for 10 minutes each time you expend a charge.
That might come in handy, especially if you want to be
Yeah.
sneaking around.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, so if you see that pretty girl across the bar and you do the true sight, if that pretty girl is actually a vampire lord in disguise, you'll see it's a vampire lord in disguise.
Nice.
We're going to use this in Grackle Stuck.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Yes.
So yeah, tell Mulek, I'll gladly accept that, Mulek, and hold on to it for dear life. Sounds like it's very important.
That'll be useful, at least in the near term, based on what Mordenkainen had told us. We also have the Eyes of Charming, which are like spectacles that you wear, and that allows you to use that to charm persons. And you can do that, I think, I just walked away from that, I think 3 times or 4 times a day. Eyes of Charming.
Usually they have a limit of 1 time or 3 times, I think. Let me just make sure.
I just had it 3 times. You can use it 3 times, and basically you can cast the charm person 3 times a day. And then we also have the Cloak of Protection. So,
and that gives you +1 to AC and +1 to your saving throws, I think.
Yeah.
Which is very good. I currently have one. So I'd recommend the person with the lowest AC or the lowest, saving throw goes with that. But it does require attunement, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I'm attuned to the gem of seeing. I got it in my inventory.
All right.
Okay, cool.
And Des, your armor class is a 13.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, my vote.
Yeah, you wanna use this cloak?
Des, how many items are you attuned to at this point?
1.
Okay, so you've got slots available.
Okay.
They got the braces as well, right? I think.
I think so, but I didn't. Yeah, I think so. I've got my thing closed, and now it's taking forever to load again.
I think you have the braces of defense, which is AC +2. So 15 to 16 is a pretty huge bump.
Gosh darn it.
I might be wrong about that. Maybe we didn't equip them.
I think I did, but I can't remember. Like I said, my thing's closed
Yeah,
right now.
hold on. Just
Sorry about
hold
it.
on. Hold
It's all
on.
good. We can sort out later as well.
No. Okay, come on. Character sheet. Okay, so bracers of defense. Yes, and what? Okay, I don't think that's right. I think does it normally be your AC is normally 10 plus your dex bonus, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then you have the bracers of defense, and those. Let me just make sure how you have this. Look at your equipment here. So let me just see where the hell do we have that. I see that you have that on your character sheet, but I don't know if you actually added it as an item or whether you just typed it in there.
I think I just typed it in for.
Okay, then.
Oh.
Yeah, that's that's probably not the way to do it. You probably want to add it as an actual item. So let's go here. No. Okay. Well, fiddle faddle. All right. I'll have to figure this out, how to add that from the thing. All right. So yeah, Bracers of Defense gives you +2 on your AC. So you're actually, you have a 14 AC. Not a 12 AC. So yeah, if you added the cloak, that would bring you up to a 15. And yeah, there's, maybe it's because of the stupid codex here, or compendium here. And
is Dez's dex only 3? Or only 2? Sorry, only 2?
Only 2.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's.
And then, does anyone want the Eyes of Charming? Or do we want to just store that for now?
We store it for now. There may come a time we'd need it.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree, Ken.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that it takes an hour to attune to an item. So,
if anyone wants it, just Discord it.
Yeah. Okay. All right, everyone. Players, thank you so much for coming and joining us this evening. Hope you enjoyed the game. And viewers, thank you so much for joining us over here on the Twitch and on the YouTube. I'm going to go ahead and bring up our music once again. Music all the month of August on our streams is provided by Pipe Dream Hits. They are newer streaming music service, music by gamers, for gamers. I find them on all of the various platforms over at iTunes or Amazon Music or Spotify or wherever you get your streaming music from. You can play that, and you won't get any copyright hits on your videos or your live streams that you do. All right, I would like to go over here to the Twitch, and I would like to look and see who is running some games this evening, and we will. All right, come on. Funny dumb thing. Twitch is being a pain. Right, well, I guess we're not going to go to Twitch. All right, well, we're just going to go ahead and say goodnight. We will talk to you all. Before I do that, I almost forgot. Paul and Michael, you guys have anything coming up this week you want people to know about?
Once again, big up to the Action Sturge. They are
Yes.
great bunch of people, really love them to bits. I had the Blaze in the Dark game yesterday. I had a great time.
Yes.
Loved it to bits. They have the Dungeon Crawler next week on the 18th, Wednesday, 8 p.m. EST, where viewers can also join in and play. You just join their Discord. You can jump in and join in, and you can also use your points to mess with the players in various ways. An incredibly fun time normally. I'm normally crying at the end of it.
Yes.
So
it's
big
a
up to
very
those
fun,
guys.
very fun channel over there. John and the crew have a lot of fun over at the Action Sturge. And Dorsafir, what's coming up with you between now and next Thursday?
Well, being that I'm a variety streamer, it could be any amount of anything, but might stream some more Car Mechanic Simulator 2021. I really do enjoy that game.
Okay. All right. And I may be streaming something tomorrow night, more kind of behind the scenes of putting together some of my direct to YouTube stuff. Might be streaming some of my preparation and recording for that, and see how that goes, because sometimes those kinds of behind the scenes things get some traction on YouTube. So we'll go ahead and maybe we'll stream some of that and then put it up on the YouTube archive as well. And then there's no game Saturday night because I will be at a soccer match. We have a game Sunday afternoon, Walker of Waterdeep, where they are in the middle of finding some basically puzzle pieces scattered all over a map. And if you saw the live stream I did on Tuesday night, I showed you basically how I create those puzzle pieces. That archive is up on YouTube. And then next Monday, be doing another Monster Monday. I haven't decided what monster I'm going to cover yet, but we just got done with a Revenant, so probably getting into the S's or the T's at this point as we work our way through the alphabet in the monster manual to some of the greatest hits monsters. And then we'll be back. I think we'll be back next Thursday. I don't think there's a soccer match next Thursday, or at least a home match. I think that we have yeah, what is tonight? Tonight is the 12th, so there's nothing on the 19th. Nope, nothing on the 19th. All right, so I think we're good. So we should be back next Thursday night for session 58 of the Sword Coast Chronicles, wherein the party will probably get their first taste of life under the sea. And so we'll send you out. Yes, we'll send you out with remembrances of Disney on your mind. All right, take care, everybody. Good night. Have a wonderful week. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.